Hello. Hi. Sorry, I just having some technical difficulties. Equipment malfunction. Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Hey, Nita, you made it. So I'm Kelly from KnitSwag, and I'm very happy that you're here today. A few weeks back, I switched to the once every other week, and that's been working better for me. So yeah, so thanks for coming. I've got some fun things to talk about today, and if you're new here, every week so far, until I decide to change it, we talk about number knitting. This is the original modular knitting book from Virginia Woods Bellamy. It was published in 1952, and we dive into the history and Virginia and her life and her story and her genius. And so all of those things, I choose like related kind of peripheral topics, and we dive into it. It's lots of fun, and it's interactive. And so if you have any like questions or comments, please use the chat. And yeah, so this is all live, and I'm going to like share my screen and some projects I've been working on. So it should be lots of fun. Hey, Maura. Oh, I did. I in my brain, I sent you a thank you email. And apparently I didn't send it from my computer. Thought I did. So yes, Maura got a really great deal on a Barbara Walker Treasure Patterns book at I think it was a yard sale, and so it's downstairs right now because my week's been a little hectic and I forgot it to bring it up. But I'm going to probably use that as fodder for our program, or maybe our prize. I'm not sure, but thank you, Maura, for that very much. I appreciate it. Okay, so sorry, I'm tangled. Okay. So today we are going to, if you probably already know this, but the number knitting book is available at Thrift Books. I think the copy there is like $280. And oh, I forgot to put it in the show notes. I'm going to have to go back and add it. But if you've ever heard of a knitting magazine called Blocked, it's out of the UK, and a lot of it is like they're not afraid to like talk about hot button issues. But Neil, the guy that runs it, he reached out to me. It's been a few months actually, and he wanted to do an article all about number knitting, and so he did a proof, and I got to read it and see it, and he published that. I think I have a link to that in my Instagram. My Instagram page, but I'll find the link to that, and I'll post it in below. And although a lot of his stuff is kind of he's not afraid to talk about difficult issues, especially difficult issues like divisive things within the knitting community. Like, he doesn't shy away from that. And so the article about number knitting is not in any way at all political or divisive, but he just was writing about the knitting book, the work that I've been doing to redraw the charts and just kind of revive it, and it was all his thoughts on it, and it's a great article. So check out that link, which I have yet to add to the show notes, but I will. And that's the magazine is called Blocked, and yeah, I'll post the link. It was a good article. He did a very balanced job on it. Okay, so I've been thinking, I'm kind of in between projects right now, and like I have had a few number knitting projects that like I thought they were going gangbusters, and like every turn it was just like, oh man, that didn't work. That didn't work. And the bodice blouse, this is a prime example of that. I have had this on the shelf for, I don't know, a few months, because I haven't had the wherewithal to finish it, because it's ginormous. And so I was kind of beating myself up a little bit about it, but then I was like, you know what? I'll get to it eventually. Like, when I've got the mental space. Like I had, my mom sent me a box of, some old memorabilia and stuff from my youth a few months ago, and I haven't had the mental space or like the emotional space to open it up lately, and so it just like sat next to my desk for like 4 months, and over the weekend I finally had the time and like the capacity to open the box, and so I don't want, if you're like struggling, I don't want you to beat yourself up over your knitting. Like this is supposed to be fun. Like if your knitting goes awry, it goes haywire, like no big deal. So I was thinking there's another YouTuber. She's a much bigger YouTuber than me. She's got more than 5 viewers. And they're out of, I think, Germany. And I wish I'm gonna remember their name. They're famous. I should know their name. But she told me, not me. She told her viewers once that she doesn't have a yarn stash. And I was like, seriously now, like, how do you not have a yarn stash? And apparently she's a project knitter. Like she'll go and she'll pick a pattern and she'll get the yarn, or like as close as she can get recommended in the pattern, and knit the pattern. And that's what she does. She's a project knitter and not a process knitter. I don't know that she used those words, but I was just thinking like the difference in approaches, like one isn't better than the other. One might have more completed sweaters than the other, but like one isn't better than the other. And so I was thinking about how if we look at Virginia's writing, I'm going to switch over to camera 5. There we go. Okay, so I have digitized number knitting, and it's totally searchable, and I love that. So if I want to search for, when Virginia said, she talked about being set on fire with rebellion at one point, and it was when she was, I'll read it. When in my teens I first learned to knit, it was because I wanted to make a scarf for a beloved cousin. And as knitting is not a craft patiently learned by most knitters, and is knitting not a craft patiently learned by most knitters for reasons rooted in the affections, by the time I'd finished the scarf, the dear old lady who had taught me to cast on a knit plane had died. My cousin had forgotten that she ever wanted a scarf, and the word knitting was enough to set me on fire with rebellion. Now, I think like most pattern books bring that out in me. Like there's the instructions, I know why they do it. They're very clear. They want to like, totally hold people's hands and give them absolutely every bit of information. But like, I just want to get to the good part where I get to knit. And so like a lot of times I don't like, to my own detriment, I don't worry myself too much about like all the little details. I just, as Elizabeth Zimmerman put it, I am a knitting theorist as opposed to a blind follower. And I think Virginia was the same way. And so as I've been in my different, I finished up some of the larger projects that I had been working on, and I needed something small, like, hats. I thought hats would be great. And so I tried, I was going to do a Musselburgh hat. Is that how you say it? And then at the very beginning, where you have to use, cast on 8 stitches on 4 double pointed needles, I was like, I hate that. I mean, I could do baby socks. I can do like little things where there's like, 20 stitches on 4 double pointed needles, but like 8. And I know it doesn't last long, but it's like, it's so fiddly, and it's just like, oh my gosh, there's like nothing fun about that for me. Yeah. So I brought out an old book that I had gotten years ago, and the reason I found this book, my old yarn shop owner, she was like my knitting mentor. She was born in the 30s, and she had, come of age in the 50s, and so that's when she, was really, she learned to knit when she was 3, which is amazing. She came of age in the 50s, and so like when Elizabeth Zimmerman was like publishing her, you know, her early works and her patterns and everything, that was sort of like the time that she was coming up. And this lady, she owned a yarn shop for like 40 years or something. And it wasn't because it was profitable. Maybe in the 80s it was, you know, because of the Cosby sweaters, but like, you know, in the latter years it was for the love of the craft. And she had this library that was just outstanding, amazing. And she had a lot of the old titles. And I've noticed a lot of the yarn shops run by older people, they have the old titles, and some of them are kind of dated, but some of them are like gold. I have yet to see number knitting in a yarn shop, except when I've carried in my backpack to show them, but like I've never actually seen it like on the bookshelf. But this one particular book, she had on, my shop owner had on her bookshelf, and it was one of her most treasured books. And so here it is. It's, I'm going to do camera 3 so you can see the details better. It's called Double Knitting by Beverly Royce. And if you can, sorry, we've got some weird shadowing. I'll fix that next week. If you can see this, this little pony here, he is made all in one, maybe that'll fix it. Sort of. He's made all in one piece. And he's made flat, inside out, on straight needles. And this was like her most complicated pattern. And it was like her magnum opus. And so Beverly Royce was, this book was published in, believe it was the 80s. This one was in 1981, was the original one, and Schoolhouse Press did the expanded edition in 94. And it says Beverly Royce was born in 1918 in Mountain View, Arkansas, and it talks a bit about her history. But she, Beverly also had the same dislike of certain methods and show independent of anyone else. And she's got a really great, like a whole foreword here. Independent, like on her own, she figured out how to knit tubes on flat needles inside out by knitting and slipping the stitches. And she did it all on her own. And so this book goes through the techniques of this. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to try to do a little bit of this tube double knitting, like, because a lot of what she has here is like, it's technique as opposed to just like row by row instruction. There's some of that too, but it's like, it's a lot of technique, and I love that. And so some years ago I had done a here it is. I had done I used that same technique to make this little like stuffed mascot thing. And I remember at the time it was challenging. It like just about made me lose my mind. But what is fun about this is that I managed to knit all of this from the flat base at the bottom to the taper of the cup. This was like a coffee shop mascot. The taper of the cup to the arrow going through the cup to the little leaves. I did all of that double knit on flat needles, I guess, or straight needles, I guess what they're called. And it worked. It was successful. And I wrote a whole blog article about it on my old graphic design blog, and there's a link below to that in the show notes. But I thought, like, as I do, like, wouldn't it be fun, you know, I like to combine techniques. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just take this Musselburgh hat, which I've never knit before, and like do it on the Beverly Royce double knit method? Like, sure, that should go great. And I thought it did for like a week. I was knitting, I think, on size size 5 needles. I thought it was going great. And I wasn't all that concerned about like how the knit two together versus the SSK, like, how the mirrored increases and decreases. I didn't get that part right, but in the end, it was a massive failure. And I lost like a week worth of knitting. But whenever I screw something up, which is like fairly often, and I'm like, oh man, I screwed up again. My husband will always say, well, hey, now you get to have more fun with the same yarn. And he always like has this positive approach. And I'm like, well, that's true. It's not like I'm at a lack for yarn because, I'm a process knitter. And so I tend to buy a lot of yarn just like for the love of it, not for any particular project. But yeah, so that idea that I had with, hey Bob, hey Mishibi, this idea that I had with like trying to do the Musselburgh hat inside out on double needles, double pointed needles, or I guess just straight needles, it was a failure. It was bad. But the thing is, I had a lot of fun doing it, and I learned some, and I don't know that I'll do double knitting again for probably like another decade, but that's okay. And so it got me to thinking about like why do I knit? Do I knit? I mean, sometimes I knit specific projects because like they're needed, like Christmas stockings out of acrylic yarn. Yes, that's definitely a project as opposed to a process, kind of in knitting, because I like get the cheap yarn from Walmart because it's like super stiff, and have a deadline, it's for a specific person. But like most of the time, like the stuff I make is like not on a deadline, it's not for anyone in particular, and it's just about like the emotional, like tactile part of knitting. And so that led me to think like what was it that I didn't like about the traditional style of hat where you cast on here and you work down, or in my case where you cast on on the double points or the straight needles and you slip knit. It became tight, and I don't like fiddly, and so I figured out like what if I just come up with a hat pattern that's like shaped well and it's easy to knit and it doesn't require 8 stitches on double points and it's fun. Like, that's what I want to do, because I think that's what Virginia would do. Like, I can't, if following, really, really difficult knitting instructions, or just like super detailed, or like, like persnickety knitting instructions, like wasn't her thing. And I know it wasn't, it's not mine either. Like, she would have gravitated more towards something, or more likely invented something that was just like enjoyable and interesting and unusual. And so that's what I did. That's what I did this week. Let me get my examples here of what I did. So like this whole thing, awesome book. It's great. You should totally add it to your knitting repertoire, just for like the knowledge of it. I don't know that I'll ever knit from it, but if you're ambitious and you want to make yourself a pony, you should. It's awesome. Okay, so what I wanted to do, let me get, let's see if, camera 3. I'm gonna get a new cord for that, but I don't have it yet. Okay, so this little guy, there we go. Here, I'll put him next to me so you can see better. All right, so this little guy is my very first toy. Can you see how smashed his beak is? He came home with me from the hospital, and he's been through the washing machine a lot. Probably not in like 30 years, but like his name is Ducky. And as I was making these little hats, trying to figure out like what kind of a hat would be fun, I started, and I whipped this one up, and it's and as I was doing it, I on my 4th one, I was like, well, I don't have a kid or like a baby, or like I don't know any of the neighbors with babies well enough to ask them if like I could borrow their baby for like a fitting. So I was kind of guessing. And so the way that this one works is I guess I'll put him back on Ducky so that you can see how it looks filled out. Isn't the top fun? It's like a little 3-pointed triangle. So what you do, I'll show you the schematic. That'll be easier. Okay, so here's the schematic for this that I drew up today. And I tried to, even though the whole thing's not in garter stitch, a lot of it is. And so I tried to give the essence of Virginia's like charting method. And so what you do is you cast on 6 sections. I wrote the pattern for 18 stitches, so you cast on 18, put a marker, 18, put a marker, so on and so forth. And then, this is fun, you work it in the round because I don't want to have to seam it, and I don't like, fiddly double-pointed needles unless I absolutely have to. And so you work 6 ridges in garter stitch, which means that every other row you're going to have to purl, which is no big deal. And then on the knit rows, you do a double decrease here, a double increase here, so on and so forth. So you do 6 ridges of garter stitch, 7 rows of stockinette stitch, 6 more ridges of garter stitch, and then 3 rows of stockinette stitch. And the whole way up, you continue the increase and decrease at the markers in the specified point. And then here, this is the only place where those double points come in, and it's not because in this case, I think it's acceptable. I don't mind it because you're not knitting like round and round, because I know a lot of people, myself included, and Beverly Royce, she didn't like working with the double points because in the division, like the stitches, where the stitches on either side of where the needles meet up, there's always a little gap there. And it's just like, it doesn't matter what you do, it's like, it's kind of gappy. And she actually, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this is awesome. This woman was a genius. Okay, so 2. Beverly wrote a poem all about her journey to make tubes, and it's entitled "No Time for Tears." And I was like, oh, that's a cute little poem, but it goes on. There's not just one page, but there's a second page, a third page, a fourth page. It's 5 pages long, all about her journey to knitting with straight needles, inside out tubes. And my gosh, I love that. Virginia was also a poem, and I bet Virginia and Beverly, they would have had a ball together. Okay, no time for tears. Preach it, Beverly. Okay, so back to the schematic. So when you're at this point, you put each one of these on a double pointed needle, and then you just graft them together using Kitchener stitch, which I don't know about you, I like Kitchener stitch, and I like Kitchener grafting grafted garter stitch. I don't mind that at all either. I know some people are like, oh, it's really, Kitchener stitch is scary, but like, I dig it personally. So you graft the top together, right? So you have your, your little top. It looks like kind of like a triangle. Can you see that? It's on crooked. Sorry, ducky. There you go. Love that. Isn't that cute? And then what you do is you go in here and you pick up, you flip it over, and you start by working short rows, and you're going to work them back and forth, 1 by 1 rib, same size needle. I mean, I suppose you could make it a smaller needle if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. And so what happens is, because of the proportion of the stitches, it has these cute little like curve things here, and there's going to be a total of 3 of those, and this one is going to connect up over here. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's easy, and the great thing about this little pattern is that there's not really row by row instructions. Like, you can just kind of, like, once you know how it's supposed to be done, you can just kind of look at it without having to follow a chart and, like, use up too much brain power if you don't have any and you're just wanting to knit because you're tired and you need the relaxation. And so this was my first iteration, and I wasn't so sure about it at first, because there's, usually when there's a hat, it's made in like fourths. Like the Musselburgh hat had 8 decreases every so often, and so it had this cute little crisscross thing at the top. And I was like, I don't know how it would work with thirds. And if you think about it, like the two sides of the head are like, this is, one part, and so you'd think that it would work better in fourths, but this one is in thirds. And now that I'm trying this little hat on Ducky, kind of digging it. A lot of modern beanie patterns, they're flat across the top, and so if you have glasses like me, like the beanie, like it hugs the glasses, and it like after a while it hurts because the glasses like press into my head, and it's always just a little awkward. Yeah. So, but this one, like the old style kid bonnets, they kind of like, they're more open in the front, and so they frame the face as opposed to just being flat and you have to wear the whole thing on an angle. And so this one is like more open in the front, and I like that. Oh, I got more. So that was attempt number 1. Bub says DPNs are devil's sticks. Ha! Word. Oh, Mishibi says, what about converting a top-down hat to a bottom-up hat? I think I would hate that less. I think I would like that. There was like about 5 years ago when the copycat beanie came out, and I was like, oh, that's fun, because it starts, you cast a whole bunch of stitches, right? And then you work one by one rib, and then you it makes a folded brim, and so it's a bottom up hat. And so there's only like just a few minutes at the top after your decreases that you have to like put it on double points, and that's not bad. But starting on the double points is like, that's a real pain in the butt. I don't like that. The thing with the Musselburgh hat is that it's very cool in that it's reversible. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's like reversible. It's two-tone. Let me see if I can find a picture of it real quick. Musselburgh. It's neat. Musselburgh hat. There we go. The thing that, here it is. Here's a good example. If you look here, this one, you have to start with your 8 stitches here and then work up, and then knit, decrease. And so with this one, there's not really a way to work it like one way or the other. I mean, I guess you could like do a provisional cast on and then work up, and then pick up that cast on and then work down, and that would do it. Yeah, that would do it fine. But anyway, I try to avoid double pointed needles when I can, because they're a pain. Years ago I went and I decided to like fill out my collection of double pointed needles, like when I was really like vigilant about putting all my yarns in Ravelry and all my needles in Ravelry and all that. And so then I went on, I don't know, KnitPicks or some website, and I like filled out all my double points, so I had they had them at every size. And you guys, I bought the wrong size. I bought, I don't know, like the 5-inch ones, or like all the sizes. Yeah. So, and now I hate all of them, and I don't use them. Did I buy any more? No. That's okay. Bub says the Musselburgh hat can also be used as an emergency scarf. Yes, it can. That's a good idea. Yeah, because it's long. It's really long. Okay, so let me show you the first, the next iteration of this hat, because this is all about the joy of knitting, right? So keep in mind, I had not tried this hat on Ducky because I forgot that this is like my, standalone for a baby. Maybe I should keep him downstairs on my yarn shelf so I remember. Poor little Ducky. So the next time I made this, I thought I'll make it a little bit bigger, and I was like debating about that whole 3-sided thing, and I thought I should like adjust the pattern. And so I did. And in this instance, you know, like I have the opening at the top here. Oh, it should be noted that in the first version of this hat, I did those little triangles on 3 sides. And then in the second one, I was like, I should, pretty sure. Yeah, I did it on 3 sides. And the second time I was like, I should leave that front part open more, and not have that, that third triangle. And so I left the front triangle part open, and then I just did 2 triangles on the back, but I kind of like cupped them, and I added an extra little decrease in here, so it kind of like whoop, it goes up at the back of the neck. And I think that makes a hat fit nice if it has like a little bit more room in there. And so that's what I did on the second one. And incidentally, if you like this yarn, this is from DJ, Discovery of Stitches. I don't remember the colorway, or if it even has a colorway, but it's like a 80/20 stock yarn or something. But it's got little flecks of like blue and pink and teal and yellow. And it's like, if you were to take birthday sprinkles and like sprinkle it on yarn, that's what this looks like. And it's scrumptious. Thanks, DJ. Yeah, so I thought this would work. It kind of has like this little cupped. See if I can do can you see that? It's like kind of, it's a little poofy back there. And I thought I would like that. I mean, I guess it's fine. If you have a kid with like a lot of hair, maybe it would give them more room for the hair. I don't know. Anyway, so that was number 2. And keep in mind, all of this was because my first hat attempt that I did with double knitting, it was an utter failure. But then I found like that led me to something way more fun. Okay, so this is number 3. I did this the same way as the second one, only I used a little bit. I think I might have had more stitches or thicker yarn or something. So this yarn is like 10% elastic, and I got it for free. Now, I was this was like 5 years ago at a knitting guild meeting here in Raleigh, and they had at the table like free yarn, and knitters, you know, the regulars who knew that they could just like drop off the yarn that they didn't want anymore, and they had all this interesting yarn there. And of course, because I was new and I didn't know any better, I took a bunch of it home, and then I got to working with it. I was like, this stuff is awful. It's absolutely awful. And so the first time I tried knitting with this stuff, it was a nightmare because it's so stretchy. Okay, so this is like, what, 6 inches, right? Can you see this? How stretchy this is? It's super stretchy. And you'd think that would be awesome, but like cotton yarn doesn't have any stretch. Wool yarn, if it's, you know, a lot of wool yarn has a bit of stretch. But this stuff, because it's got so much elastic in it, it's like way, way, way stretchy. Like it's hard to keep tension on this. And so you have to knit it super, super loose, which is difficult. But anyway, so this, I don't think this fits me. Pretty sure it doesn't. Let's try. Good gracious. Look at how much that stretches. Oh dear. It fits. I won't wear it out. Don't worry. But that's how stretchy this thing is. It's like ginormous. So this yarn sat on my shelf for years. I don't know, maybe almost 10 years at this point. But I finally decided to bring it out, and I did the third hat the same way, using, you know, like these little pockety types of things here. And anyway, I'm also working on a 4th one because I'm having so much fun with it. And another thing I'm experimenting with in this is like trying to understand, like as the yarn changes colors, like how I would want to insert different colors, maybe into the triangles, or like, you know, if you have a color changing yarn, maybe start at the bottom and work your way up. Because I've got some really nice cake dyed yarns, but they're like, I need to do something with them that utilizes the way the yarn is dyed. So like the interior of the yarn is not got as, like when it was cake dyed, it hasn't not as much saturation as the outside. And so there's a real color difference there, and I want to take advantage of that. And I don't think if I was to like knit that in a sweater or like a blanket or something, that it would like really do it justice. But something like this, where where it, you know, the color can change gradually. I think that'll look nice. But anyway, so I wanted to just share that with you, so that like if your knitting doesn't work out the way that you think it should, that's okay. Because I know that there's a lot of knitters that are like, you know, they gauge swatch, and then not just like one swatch and like eyeball and call it good like I do. And you know, my gauge swatch is like casting on all the stitches for the whole sweater. But they'll do it like, you know, 4 or 5 times, and then they'll check their gauge on each one, and then they'll wait 24 hours and they'll check it again to see if it's changed. And you know, they're down to like the, you know, 16th of an inch or whatever, and it's like very, very, very particular. And that's awesome. That is awesome if that's your thing. So let me show you another person. I think I've showed this book before. This is, if that's your thing, this is the book for you. This is Progressive Knitting. This is by Ida Riley Dunklin, also from the same kind of a time period. I think this is like published in 1940. Yeah. And she was a teacher, a knitting and sewing teacher for Detroit Public, like adult education. And so like, this is a technical handbook of knitting and like how it should be done. I want to give it a try. And it's great if that's your thing. Like if you want to know exactly how the math works and like, you know, all of that, this is awesome. This book has no feelings. There's nothing in here. Of course, I haven't read the whole thing, but just based on like my kind of a general understanding of it, like this is not going to warm your heart, you know, and like help you get through your seasonal affective disorder on cloudy days or like whatever. This isn't to make you feel good about yourself. But like if that's what you're looking for, this is great. But I know that like I don't think I could ever be a TK, GA, master knitter or whatever, because there's so much swatching. I can't do it. I just want to knit, you know. So anyway, don't beat yourself up. If you're, you know, not knitting right now or projects aren't going well, that's okay. That's okay. It's no big deal. No big deal. Unless, of course, someone threw your hand knits in the wash. But that's not your fault. And you would know better because you're a knitter. You would know not to put your hand knits, like your non-superwash stuff, in the wash and shrink it. So, swatches lie. Ooh, I'm gonna put that on a shirt. Nice. I love that. Okay, so before I get into historical stuff, I wanted to show you something else. I meant to show this last week, but I didn't. And so I'll show you now. So as you may know that I have, you know, like in addition to this like historical, you know, YouTube thing that I do with KnitSwag, I also have like this little shop. Like I sell personalized mugs and, you know, bags and, you know, it's fun stuff. It's fun. And but we recently invested in some new equipment. We got a laser engraver. It's awesome. It's awesome. So like up until this point, I have outside vendors that like fulfill my mugs and, you know, shirts and stuff for me. But with this laser engraver, we can do it all we can do all the laser engraving stuff in-house, which is killer. So I'm super excited about that. So let me show you what we made. It's a little, it might be a little hard to see because of the reflection, but this is an engraved tumbler, and it's got hats and gloves and yarn balls and dresses and there's a sweater vest, and there's little like baby pants and baby jackets and bonnets and dresses and knitting needles, and it's fun. But it's hard to see under the lights with the reflection. So I'm going to show you the original artwork real quick. There was a live stream last week, but I had some sort of a weird technical difficulty where it said chat wasn't working. And so like the whole time I was just like here, like talking to myself. Like, but you know, people gave me a thumbs up even though I couldn't see the chat. So whew, that was awkward. But yeah, it should be there. But let me show you the artwork for this, because I think it's easier to see. It's easier to see on the screen without the reflection. Okay, so here it is. This is my laser engraving program. So the cool thing about this is it wraps, like the design wraps all the way around, and so this little like ribbon thing here, it like peeks through over here, and those little legs here, they like kind of nestle up against the sweater, and so it's very fun. It's a little finicky to like get it to work on all the different sizes of tumblers, but that's one of the things I've been working on, is because I didn't have enough to do. Yeah, so I've been learning how to use a laser engraver and brand new software that is different than what I've been using for the last 20 years. So another reason where I can't follow any sort of finicky pattern at night, because like I don't have any more brain power left. So what I'm doing, I'm going to Rhinebeck, I guess this week, we leave on Tuesday. So I'm going to Rhinebeck, and I'm going to bring a few of these, and I've got 3 different designs I've come up with. DJ helped me today for quite a while, like ironing out some of the kinks into the design. So thanks, DJ, you're the bomb. I wanted to show you another one. So that was the first one we came up with. The second one we came up with, because what I'm looking for feedback on, like, what do you guys like? Because I think all the sheep stuff is great, but my husband's like, you should ask other people. Like, okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm asking you guys. So here's the second one, and it's got this cute little sheepy, cute little lamb, and this like old vintage woman. I don't know what kind of wheel that is. I thought it was a great wheel, but usually great wheels are like, you walk when you're using them and you're not sitting. Maybe there's multiple kinds of great wheels. I don't know. But this is number 2 that I've come up with. And then this is the third one that I've come up with. And it's a little hard to see. Maybe I can make it easier for you to see, so it'll like show inverted. There we go. So this is what it's going to look like. All the part that's white, that's going to be what's engraved, and all the part that's black, it can be like whatever. It could be like a red tumbler or black tumbler or blue tumbler or whatever. And so that's number 3. And so like of those 3, like which one do you guys like? Do you like the vintage pattern the best? The lady spinner, or do you like the holy sheep? Did you notice the pontiff hat? Yeah. So I'm going to put a note here in the comments. So if you chime in, design 1 is vintage pattern, because I would like some feedback on these. Design 2 is lady spinning, and design 3 is holy sheep. Yeah, so those are coming soon to the Knit Swag Shop. I haven't got that far yet, but I will. So anyway, if you have any other ideas of things that you think would be fun to put on tumblers, like yarn related, let me know, because I would love to, I would love to give you what you want or sell you what you want. The vintage pattern, I like that one too. And that pattern is very cool because I got that from a vintage knitting book. It's like the Big Book of Knitting. There were several vintage knitting books that I have, and the interior of them have really interesting patterns. And so I scanned it and I vectorized it and I cleaned it up and I figured out the pattern repeat and all that. So yeah, that was from like a 1943 book or 44 book or something. Yeah. Okay. All right. If you haven't seen the visual timeline I put together for Virginia, take a look. And I apologize, it's got ads in it. I don't know how to get those off. Anyway, so there's a link in the description for this. And I don't have pictures of everything yet. I won't have pictures of everything. Like, obviously not going to have a picture for that, but like where there are places that I can put pictures, I will. I'm just, working my way through that. You can also view this as a timeline. And so you can see like when the bulk of her work was. So this is kind of fun, and this is going to be an ongoing sort of a thing that I'm working on, because I have a lot going on. Okay, another thing. Some time ago, someone, I think it was Stephanie, she had suggested that I put an article or a blog post or like a spreadsheet up on my website of all of the I collect these McCALL'S magazines. And some are, in better shape than others. Like this one's kind of, it's like it got wet at some point. Not in my house, but at someone's house it got wet. But I've got like 24 of these things, and I've been, working my way through scanning them and, tagging them and all that. And so I finally, like 8 months after she requested, I think, I finally put that article together. And this is going to be like a work in progress. I don't have, because all of my magazines are like in a drawer and they're not organized. This is very much a work in progress. Yeah, so I've got 3 of them, 3 of the 24 scanned so far, but that's gonna get better. That'll get better. So along those lines, I wanted to show you. Oh, and Nita asked, can I use the mug pattern on the tumbler? Like which mug pattern? Basically anything I can put on the tumbler. And I've got like a variety of sizes of tumblers where, we have lots. But the only like catch is that it has to be like black and white. So it's either engraved or it's not engraved. Because what it does is actually like it lasers off the powder coating. And reveals the metal underneath. And so, like, I can't have extra colors on here. It's like whatever color the powder coat is plus silver is kind of the way it works. But yeah, I could prep the artwork for like basically anything. I think people like the vintage the best. Yeah, I think so. I do. It takes a while to run. It takes like 45 minutes to run one of those things, but it's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so regarding the McCALL'S, I wanted to show you what I've been working on with that, because I've showed you this stuff before, and like how I can add bookmarks and run optical character recognition, and you can like search for stuff and all that, and you can scroll through and see things by page, thumbnail, which is great. But I've been wanting to look at it more from like an anthropological, like historical perspective, as opposed to just like, you know, how nice the file is prepped, which is important. But like, I wanted to see like what were they marketing to women in in this case 1944. Like, were they like, what was the proportion of marketing, like of household cleaning products, or like accessory, you know, things like hats and bags, or like buttons, or like you know, quilting or sewing, or, you know, continuing education, like either in the way of like correspondence courses, or, you know, books or whatever. Like what were they putting in front of women? Because this is a needlework magazine, and if you were to look at a needlework magazine today, at least, you know, the modern ones, like which I've only flipped through, like Pom Pom, I think, is one that's really popular. But I don't think, and that's a knitting pattern magazine as opposed to like a general needlework magazine, but it seems to me that the needlework magazines today are more like, they're more focused. And you might find some soap advertisements in there, but it would be for like, you know, Unicorn Power Scour or something like that, but not like how to take the stains out of your, you know, your slip covers, or like, you know, if you should have, you know, other cleaning types of things, like, you know, clear rain galoshes that you can wear over your high heels to keep your high heels clean, you know, stuff like that. So the things today are more, the publications today are more focused, whereas the ones back then were more, a little bit of this and that, which is really interesting. And so what I did is I went through and I highlighted this a bit, and I tagged things with different kinds of categories. And it's Adobe Reader, you know, it's great for a lot of things, but like all of this, I had color coded these and put subjects in all of them. Oh, cancel. Like here, they took away the useful buttons, properties. Like half of the stuff I put in doesn't show in this panel. Okay, so each one of these 60 comments in here, a sticky note or highlight or whatever, it's got a, let me zoom. There we go. In the properties of every comment, it has the author, it's got the subject, and you can like change the color and stuff, which is great. It's even better. Oh, how do I zoom back out? Oh no. Oh dear. All right, I always remember how to zoom in, and I don't remember how to zoom back out. Awesome. Come on. Anyway, so I color coded all those different sticky notes, and I came up with some like major categories, like embroidery, sewing, household and cleaning, education, and in education would be like costume design course, or like beauty school and charm, like how to like you know, be a successful person, like present yourself well with posture, and, you know, take care of your hair and your makeup, kind of like the things that you'd learn in pageantry, I think. But like it was in a book. And then they had like a whole bunch of patriotic stuff, and this is in addition to like all the knitting patterns. But anyway, I thought it would be fun to do that, because, you know, that's why I'm doing all this, is because it's fun. Did I just figure it out? No. Computer locked up. But like, if this is something that you're interested in, like for the, you know, the love of history, and you want to like help me with this, let me know, because I think it would be fun to have not just like my perspective, but like other people's perspective on what the major categories are of what kinds of things they're presenting to women. Like, because some of the things, they cross over categories. Like it could be embroidery, but it's also like embroidery for the new bride, or embroidery for the baby, or like a combination of embroidery on sewing, or if it's crochet, it could be a crocheted hat, or you know, a crocheted sweater. And so there's a lot of crossover there, and so they don't fit like really tidy into one category. Let me try this again. Oh, Zoom shortcuts. Well, that's a disaster. Okay, moving on. Gotta love live. See, if I was doing this recorded, I would trim all the errors out, and then I would spend 6 hours making it look perfect before I published it, but I don't have that kind of time, so. All right. Yeah, so, it's 6:57. So we had done a knit along. Okay. We had done a knit along for the 4 points shawl, or was it 5 point? It was a 5-point shawl, and what was the other one? What was the other one? I'm looking at my phone because my computer is unusable at the moment. Okay. Oh, the winged blouse, that was a challenge. So Rose, I think, yeah, Rose, Genuine Redneck, she finished hers, did great. The 5-point scarf, there's Cats and Betas. Yeah, so we had 2 people. One finished each project. Good job, ladies. Woo! So if let me get my pen. We're so fancy here at Knit Swag. Okay, so Rose was number 1, and Mishi B, Cats and Betas, was number 2. So I told you all that if you participate in a Knit Swag Knit Along, the chances of you winning a prize is very high. Higher than any other Knit Along. Okay, so let's ask Siri to help us out. We're gonna pick a number between 1 and 2.
It's 1.
Rose, you win the prize. Oh dear. Good job, Rose. All right, so you win. So I can either ship you this tumbler, or I can ship you a Secret Society mug, a Knit Swag Secret Society mug, like this, and it'll have your like the design, like, you know, fall, knit along, winter, or something right there. So it'll be like one of a kind. So let me know which one that you want, and I'll ship that to you. And maybe reach out to me on, you know, however you want, email or Instagram or whatever. Okay, so that's great. I'm probably gonna, gosh, did I just figure it out? Hold on. Maybe if I like cross my fingers and say a prayer, I can get this to work. It only keeps zooming in further. So if any of you know how to zoom back out using a trackpad on a MacBook Pro, please let me know, because I might just have to restart my computer to get this to go back to normal. Yeah. Anyhow, did any of you have any any questions or anything? I'm going to be at Rhinebeck next week, and I don't know. I think it's just for one day, and I don't know which day. I'm honestly not. I'm not sure, but I'm going to be there, and that should be super fun. So if any of you are going to be there, you know, hit me up and we can like do a secret society knit swag photo shoot or something. That'd be fun. All right. Yeah, so the next, oh gosh, my screen is so zoomed in. Can't even use it. So the next one will be in 2 weeks. Okay, in 2 weeks, I am not going to be here. I'm going to be at I think I'm going to be at a conference, but we might be getting back that morning. I'm not sure. So I might be here in 2 weeks. I might not be. If I'm not, I will definitely be back on the 5th, but I'll try to post that somewhere on Instagram or YouTube or email or message you all, the regulars, to let you know like when I'll be back. All 5 of you. Love you. All right, friends. I will help menu. I will try that. I will take some photos at Rhinebeck. That should be lots of fun. Hopefully some of the sheep will be friendly enough that I can take a selfie with them. I would very much like that. I've heard there's a sheep parade every hour, which is going to be awesome. So I'll record that and share some fun stuff with you all the next time we get together. I've never been to Rhinebeck, so I don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be tons of fun. Yeah. All right, friends. I think that's it for me tonight. Thank you so much for coming. I love our little group here. I got it like, I don't know, 50 or 40 more followers since that article in the Blocked magazine came out. Somehow I should let them know that we do this on Sunday nights. Anyhow, maybe they'll catch it later, and we'll say hello to them then. Yeah, all right. Well, that's it for me. Thanks again for coming, and I hope you have a nice evening, and maybe I'll see you next weekend. All right. Bye.